We on?
Yeah.
Is this thing on? What up, Louis? Let's go. Yo, 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 yo.
You defy the god of war! You think they know what we're doing? Well, we're not here to sell cookies.
We're not recording.
The Controlled Substance Podcast, Dose 13. I'm Scholar, and I'm a gamer.
And I'm Ace, and I'm a gamer.
So if you're a gamer, prove it. What's been controlling you? What you been playing?
All right, I'm up for the task. Let's see what's been controlling me. It's sad to say, but this past week I've been playing almost nothing but. I actually did dabble in Skyrim a little bit, but I get to that. But I've been playing mostly nothing but that Star Wars MMO. And that's simply because I'm really trying to put myself in a position where because I already know that in the near future I'm not going to have no time to play that game. And I feel like that if I put myself in a good enough position, then I won't have to worry about grinding when I come back to it. It'll be just all gravy. You know what I'm saying? It'll be all fun. So it's almost like, this is a crazy analogy, but it's almost like when Tupac kind of knew when he knew he was gonna die, and he started. Well, that was his little prediction or whatever. That was his prophecy, and he started making like songs like crazy in the studio, just crazy, 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 just pumping out songs and songs and songs in the lab.
What a
'Cause he knew,
metaphor.
yeah, right. But the point is, like, I just wanna like knock everything out because I know it's gonna die soon. You know what I'm saying? And I know, and the good thing about me, like I said, that stands me out um between most people that play MMOs and stuff like that, is that I'm always in control. Like, I could just drop it at any given time with no problems. Now I might have stuff that's set up. Like, let's say, I have like some nights where I do some raids and stuff like that with some dudes, but that's an appoint. It's like an appointment. Like, I choose to set that up. You know what I'm saying? I choose to sign up because it's a little sign up system that they got going on. So I choose to sign up to that, and then once I'm signed up, that's when I'm obligated to do that. Well, I'm not even obligated at that point. I'm not going to let it control my life. If I had some real life stuff, I'll just let them know, and I don't really care, if they kick me out or not, because it's some real life stuff. But yeah, like, I like I say, that's a good thing about me. But everything is like carefully planned to the point where I feel like, because in that game, it's like it's crazy. I'm gonna talk a little bit about it because people might not know this, but it has like a little system in it. It's almost like eBay. Yeah, it is. It's like eBay in the game, right? And in real life, I sell stuff on eBay. That's my history. Over the years, I've been selling all different types of stuff, from computers to iPhones and video games. The list goes on. So, like, naturally, I love the thrill of selling and getting that feedback. Um, but of course, the most important part is selling and making money or whatever. But at the end of the day, like, I just like love the fact that you sold something. It's almost like a gratifying moment where you feel like you've done something important. Like, you really did this. Like, yeah, I made that transaction. So yeah, it has that system inside of it where where you can, like, there's items that you can pay for with real life money, um and you could put it in the game and sell it on like the little virtual eBay thing. And the thing about it is, if you well off enough in the game already, and you know how to make money, you know how to work the game, you wouldn't have to spend a penny of your real life money, because of all of the stuff that costs real life money. you can buy because people put it up on the eBay. With the you could buy that with your in-game money that you made and you hustle. So I kind of use it as like a little mini game that teaches me how to uh like just pretty much run. It's not. I don't even look at it as a stock market, but like run like sell, like run sales and seeing what's popular in demand and kind of like getting to your competitors and kind of like either matching their price or going down, stuff like that. But what's crazy is that people, believe it or not, people do get, it's a very touchy subject. It's almost like it's like religion or let's say racism or something. Like it's a very touchy subject in the game because a lot of people feel different ways. Some people may feel, well, if you undercut me, I hate you because like you just basically stole business from me. You know what I'm saying? But on the flip side, people feel like that some things are overpriced in the game. You know what I'm saying? Like this shouldn't be this much money, and to a certain extent, it depends on the situation. I agree on both spectrums. So you kind of got to work that balance and to kind of see that your money grow and you become a millionaire in game. It's funny that you say that, a millionaire in game, but it actually holds some weight when you're in game, because you're able to do things. So that's pretty cool. It's a fun game that really just teaches me about like kind of like, I'm not even gonna say business, like just selling in real life, like getting on my hustle in real life. It teaches me about different like business moves and like when should I put this out? I can't put this out now because I know eight other people behind me gonna like sell it crazy cheap. So it's crazy. So that's one of the games I played. Right. And I also mentioned Skyrim. Skyrim, I like to like, when I play Skyrim, I like to like jump into the world and like play it for a while. But on this occasion, I was just testing different mods that I added, that I got or whatever. And I didn't really actually play for long. I just wanted to make sure that when I do happen to, I don't even know if it's going to be anytime soon, but when I do happen to jump back into Skyrim, it's going to be ready and fully modded for me. It's going to be ready to go, like, so I can go ahead and play that. But actually, surprisingly, like I said, it's been a kind of like slow week because of gaming for me because I was trying to handle that other situation. So that's pretty much what I've been gaming. So I'm gonna hand the torch to you and see what's going on with you and what you've been playing, man.
Okay, cool. Seems like we are on the extreme opposite sides of the spectrum this week because I've been dabbling in a lot of different games.
Mm.
Um, Not even playing, just moving and happening getting these different games, including some casual games. So, like, where do I even start? I got into this game called Warframe for the
Oh,
PS4.
okay. I heard about that one.
Yeah, I seen when I first got the PS4, I was seeing the people on it, and I was like, yo, these people's on this game a lot. I was like, maybe it's one of them sleeper hits, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, why is people going out here and copping this game? Not to find out that the game was free and it's in beta.
Yeah, why not, right? At that
So that
point.
made sense. So I guess when people got into it, they actually liked what they got into.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like, yo, let me try this game. So I did my homework on it a little bit, and I was like, oh, you basically an alien ninja.
Hmm.
Um, so I downloaded it, played it. I dabbled in it. Um, I was hoping it had a single player campaign, and it may, but I didn't see one. I'm thinking maybe it's just an online beta.
Right.
So I was running around with this team, and we was just basically killing these mechs and no, not mechs. I think we was killing like other aliens.
Hmm.
Throughout.
Other alien ninjas.
I think we was on Mars. Nah, you know what? I don't even think they was ninjas. They just look like strictly aliens. Like,
Oh, okay.
yeah, they may have some little arm on it, some like, Star Wars type feel.
Mm.
Um, uh, but yeah, so we was doing that. So we just running through slaying these things, and it was cool. But I really want to test because this dude has these powers. He got these secondary powers. He got the sword. He got the gun. So I really want to explore. So what I've been doing lately is I noticed that sometimes I get online, I don't have a clue what the point of why am I here. Like, what's the objective? Just run through and kill everything? Are we trying to secure something? Are we protecting something? What are we doing?
Right.
So I hit my man's up that was on it. I was like, yo, we gotta get on. You gotta show me what the heck. Why am I here? What am I doing?
Mm.
So I say all that to say I don't know how the game is. I think
All that, right?
after all that, I see it has some cool features in terms of like the gameplay. It looks like if you can really put it all together,
Yeah.
it could be real fun. He personally describes it as crack.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he said it. Well, he said highly addictive.
Oh, yeah, that's crack.
That's crack,
No,
right?
that's
So
meth. I'm sorry. That's
that's
just
meth.
Walter
Not
White.
meth is the new crack. Walter White. That blue.
Hmm.
But yeah. So I was like, all right, cool. So we're gonna plan a game night. Actually, he had hit me up to do it, but I had to step out, so we got to reschedule.
Yeah.
So I played that. I was playing some NBA 2K. Uh, I was playing some Splinter Cell. I was playing some GTA 5.
Man, so you've been busy this week, huh?
I've been playing some Wheel of Fortune.
What? Random.
Random. I'll tell you, playing some casual games too. I even played remember that game we used to play in home? What was the name of it?
Oh, they brought that back?
They have it was for I think it was for free. Like
Yeah,
uh
yeah, yeah. No, it was free in home.
no, but no, they released it like a game, like a
Oh.
actual game.
Do you
Um
still have avatars like you did at home?
uh no, see the one at home, I still think that's the best joint. That joint was so fire.
Yeah, because it
Like
was seamless. Like you went
you
into
walk. It was fun because you everybody's in. You got this crowd of people standing
yeah.
on these little options,
Hmm.
and then you go to the one you think is the right answer. That is
Right, right, right.
phenomenal. For
Yeah.
all the other ones that I've seen, it's more straight up like answer the question A B C.
Yeah, and I was starting to remember it was classic because like people used to like just go with the
Follow the
crowd.
leader, right? Did they be wrong?
People
Everybody.
start switching up in the middle of it, and you see all type of movement. It was crazy. It was chaos.
I actually want that version of the game. I'm gonna see if I could put my get a little petition going and
Mm,
see, because I don't even know if it's in home still. I gotta check to see if that game is even in home because I could always play that version.
right.
But any other version I've seen is like your typical game show. You just answer the question. You have like your avatar. I think you have an avatar, but you're not like moving. You're standing behind the thing. Classic
Mm.
game show style. Um, what the name is it? What the heck the name of it?
I don't remember the name of it. I don't remember.
Oh
It.
shoot!
I know it
Gonna make
was
me have to power up my PS3 to
it's
find
like
out.
Zoom or
They say it's
was it Zoom?
Zoom. Dang, I forgot the name of it, y'all. My
All good.
bad.
I don't know. I'm probably way off right now. I'm just going.
Yeah, I don't sound. What you saying don't sound like anything like it.
It don't ring no bell.
Um, yeah, don't ring no bells. But anyway, I was playing that. Um, I even played Pinball Arcade
Wow.
for the PS4. Uh, yo, that ball looks like the ball. When you play in arcade, it's very detailed. Like the graphics is very detailed. Like the
I know
ball,
what you're talking about.
yeah, the ball
Graphics.
looks real. I was like, yo,
That's
it looked like I'm at the arcade for real, for real.
Yo, the last time I played pinball was remember when they used to come on to like the old computers and it was in your little game section.
Yeah.
Press the
Wow,
space
some
bar, the hit the thing and stuff like that. That was funny. But yeah, that was the last time I played something like that. That's
Yeah, and
crazy.
they got all kinds of pinball machines.
So it was next gen, huh?
Yeah, it was next gen pinball game. That
Wow.
was crazy.
Looking better than half of these next gen games. Right.
And it was hot too. They try to stay real to the mechanics that you would do if you were actually physically playing the game.
Hmm.
So they got different type of machines. They got the one where you just press the button and the ball shoots,
Right.
and then you got the one where you pull back on the ball and you let it go and it hits the ball and it goes up. And you actually pulling back on your controller and you let it go and then it hits the ball. Um, so I think I played on this Alien versus Mars or some Go to Mars theme, and then I played the Twilight Zone theme.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right. They had the music and everything.
had to join everything, of course.
Mm.
I think they even had my man Ross Serling narrating some parts of it. Like you would hit a certain area and it'd be like, you have now entered the fifth dimension. Some craziness. So
Mhm.
it's it was cool. I was having some fun with that one.
I think I need to get a PS4 just for that.
What else I was playing? And it's free too. I actually downloaded two pinball games. They got Zen Pinball, and then they had Pinball Arcade.
That
But
sounds.
I downloaded both of them, but I didn't play the Zen one yet. I played the arcade one because that's the one that brought the most nostalgia to me. I don't even know what Zen Pinball is about. I'm gonna go find out though. Probably by next week I have a report on
Uh-oh.
that. But
Sounds like
yeah,
a system
so
seller to me, man.
hilarious. What else I've been playing? Madden 25. I probably played a bunch of other games too. I can't remember right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Madden and you go hand in hand.
oh, The Last of Us.
Cracking us.
I've been playing The Crack of Us. Definitely, of course, the DLC drop, and I actually wanted to I'll probably do a review on it. But basically, what I will say is, funny enough, that the DLC gives me everybody praising this DLC, by the way,
Hmm.
going nuts. This the best DLC ever made.
Yeah.
And it's a great piece to The Last of Us. But again, what messed me up? It didn't deliver on adding to the main campaign. Cause I had my whole plan. I was like, yo, I'm gonna get this DLC.
Right.
And since this DLC is the prequel to the events that happened in the main campaign, I'm gonna just play. It's gonna give me a reason to play The Last of Us again.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna play straight through. I'm gonna play the DLC, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna go straight into The Last of Us.
So you was thinking of some type of segue or something?
It was gonna be a segue, like geniusly, perfectly.
Kind of like Ground
done.
Zeroes, huh? Isn't that
Yeah,
that's what
I'm
it's supposed to
hoping
be?
Ground Zeroes does that. I'm
Yeah.
hoping Ground Zeroes has this perfect segue to Phantom Pain. I'm
Yeah.
hoping it does that. And so far, I've been let down by these prequels. Batman prequel
Mm.
didn't really add anything to the series in terms of, oh, so that makes sense. Oh, okay. None of that. They basically became standalone stories.
Right.
It happened to me with God of War. I felt like Ascension didn't deliver. It was
Yeah.
it was just another thing to tell. It had nothing to do with the other three that I played, and it didn't segue anything. It was just kind of like more Kratos fight. Here's a couple. Even with the backstory, they didn't even. It's so much they could have did with that game, but they didn't do it. And with The Last of Us, same thing. Story's great, phenomenal. Uh, it's I'll probably even play it again. But the thing was, it didn't bring any closure to the thing, and that's another thing. They left you on a cliffhanger type of thing. Like
Right.
they didn't explain Left Behind. Like the whole point of the DLC is Left Behind, but
Yeah.
you kind of gotta assume what happened. They don't give you. They don't walk you through what happened. I'm thinking all this is going to lead up to this crazy climax, and this girl somehow doesn't make it.
Yeah.
And they don't do that. They just leave it in limbo. So It's good, but I just felt like it wasn't a true prequel. It didn't really segue properly.
Did they have any plans to do any more?
I think they said it's the first and only one.
Oh
I
wow.
wish they would just continue to support it and just do different stories.
Yeah.
Cause I'm cool with standalones, but just call it that. Say it's a standalone story that has nothing to do with the main campaign.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, you know, everybody like, oh, you can't play the prequel before you play the main campaign
Mhm.
because of the ties.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you could. The only thing that messes it up is that they spoil some of the events in the main campaign. That's the only thing that's holding it back. But in terms of story and revealing characters and all of that, it doesn't ruin anything. It's literally almost like a standalone.
Right. Right. Right.
So, you
Yeah.
know,
They might have not had the financial backing to continue that because they probably had to kind of like say kind of like Skyrim, but Skyrim actually had like two DLCs, two major DLCs. But it's you get to the point as a publisher, as a developer, where you say, okay, I need to work on my next title, especially having been being that the next gen. Well, this is next gen. This is the beginning of the next gen, so everybody wants to get the next gen title out.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So that kind of takes the priority. So it was a gift and a curse that Last of Us was at the time it came out at the time it did.
Right, right, right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? But I think I seen something on article the other day saying that it might be a 50-50 chance of The Last of Us getting a sequel.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So yeah,
Yeah,
we
and people are torn with that. It's so much I don't want to say controversy, but it's so much opinions about The Last of Us, where Naughty Dog should take it. Should they just leave it one
right.
and done? Should they continue it? Should they just do side stories like what Telltale is doing with Walking Dead?
Hmm.
Just release episodes. Um, and these episodes don't even have to have nothing to do with each other. It could be about another family on the other side of town that was fighting off the zombie infection.
Right.
Um, so people just have a bunch of opinions on it, what they should do with it, what they shouldn't do with it. Some people even want Last of Us ported to the PS4.
Mm.
A lot of people fighting for that, and they like, yo, we would love to, but like you said, you hit it right on the head. It's like, time. Do we focus all our attention on porting this game over, or do we just make another game?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Maybe it's better to just give y'all a brand new game as opposed to working on a port of a
Yeah.
game that's already out.
Yeah.
So they're torn. I guess they're trying to see how big the buzz gets about it,
Hmm.
and if they got some time on their hands, they might go back to it.
Yeah. They might revisit it. Um. But
Uh,
yeah, I mean, I would hope to see.
but
I know it's a well-respected franchise.
I don't know what Naughty Dog's gonna do with The Last of Us, but I think games need to marry each other better.
Hmm.
When it comes to DLC and stuff like that. Like I'm hoping Kojima delivers and that Ground Zeroes leads to the exact events of Phantom Pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And I like build-ups. I think build-ups are good. Like, um, if a developer or whoever it is, whoever makes the decision, um, if they decide to say, hey, we're going to go ahead and make this a prequel, kind of like, all right, let's just use because Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes honestly is, and what's going on with Metal Gear Solid 5 is the perfect idea opinion. If that concept works, let's give you a prequel to set you up. It's kind of like I don't want to say interlude. It's kind of like an intro because the interlude means that it was already something going on. But intro, right, to this new game, which is let's say in this instance MGS5. So let's introduce you into the world. Let's introduce you into the mechanics and give you some story for a set price or whatever, and go ahead and give you the full game. I actually like that idea because you get in. it's almost like you're getting DLC, but you're getting it in a better fashion, in my opinion. It's not just a added on thing. It's more like a premeditated thing. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a well thought out concept and project. You know what I'm saying? Rather than like, oh, yeah, we need to have DLC for this. So what should it be? It's kind of like at that point it starts to get forced, in my opinion. And I don't know if that is that how you feel. Like, is that how you feel about The Last of Us DLC? Like, do you feel like it was just the vibe of it? It was kind of forced because they kind of needed it, quote unquote. They needed a DLC.
You know what? The funny enough, it didn't feel forced. I felt that with God of War. But this one, it didn't really feel forced. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that I think that I knew they were planning it probably from
Hmm.
day one. Um, I wouldn't say it feels forced. It feels natural. It just didn't. It's actually a great piece of DLC. Very well done acting, everything that all the quality that you got from the main campaign you get from the DLC. The only problem is that it just didn't link. That's it. They just didn't talk to each other. DLC doesn't talk to the main campaign at all.
Right.
Um, and and now as I played through The Last of Us, yeah, that's what I meant to say. So I played through The Last of Us anyway,
Uh huh.
even though I was like, oh, this don't even link. I'm playing through The Last of Us anyway, Um, and I'm trying to key in on the moments where she refers to her life before they met,
Right.
and see how much insight she gives on that background. So far, I haven't gotten anything worth holding on to or major, but she said little things here and there. Um, but it'd been cool in the main campaign if she would have said something like, "Man, I lost my friend. A long time ago. We were together. She was my best friend. Da 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 da."
Right. Right. Some type of reference, right?
Some type of reference that was strong,
But that.
because it's almost like it was cool though too, because it's like they met, right? And sometimes you don't tell the
Yeah.
person that you met everything that
Yeah.
happened to you. You just kind of keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
And I like that. That was kind of real. That brought a real element to it. It's not like you're gonna tell your whole business from every since you were born
But I think
to
it would have
now.
been cool if he would have said, like, eventually in the story, he would have been like, "So, what's your story?"
Right,
And
right,
and
right.
then,
But he didn't. He played the I didn't care role. Like, yo, I'm just doing my job. I don't even want to do this, to be honest with you.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know, and if Shorty didn't say let's do it, I wouldn't even mess with you.
mm,
Plus, I'm putting my life on the line. So he kind of was moving in that I don't really care. I don't care to know why I'm here. I mean, why you here? What got you here? Why am I even delivering you to these people?
yeah,
But as the story goes on, they start getting closer.
right, naturally,
Um,
right,
Naturally, right? Because you spend all these hours together and you moving through and you going through all these experiences together, and and then now you have to rely on her. There was a point where he didn't even give her a weapon.
yeah,
He's like, "Yo, no, you don't touch no weapons, just chill."
mm,
And then it was one point he was like, "Look, grab this." He started teaching how to use a gun, and when she did a good job, and so he started trusting her, and he's like, "All right," because he gave her a big gun.
mm,
And then he switched it to, he's like, when they were done and she used the big gun, she's like, yeah, I did my thing.
yeah,
And he's like, all right, cool, you did your thing. Well, hold on to something closer to your size. And he gives her a handgun. So
oh,
now
okay,
she's chilling with that. Um, so the, you know, I decided to play it anyway because I was going to play regardless. I just needed, that motivation was extra. Like, all
mm,
right, cool, I'm gonna play this prequel, then I'm gonna go into the main campaign.
yeah.
And yeah, so I'm
Do you think they should have released, like, nah, I'm not going to even say release this one, but do you think they should have built it up in such a way that it should have been structured like MGS Ground Zeroes, like released as a prequel and then the game came out?
Oh, you mean from the get, like
Yeah,
drop
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. But
shake
it with
first
the
by
mind state
itself?
though, even when they're making it with the mind state that yeah,
Right.
this is
That they always gonna do that part.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd have been a hot idea. You know what? Now that you mention it, Kojima actually might start a trend.
Yeah, I think so.
He might start this new trend where people start giving you a little taste of the main story.
Yeah.
They may, I hope it doesn't become like DLC. Like,
I
see, Kojima, he has a certain mind and he's a genius and he's
yeah,
thinking
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he's
He's
being an
just
artist.
yeah, he's just thinking of what will benefit my game the most.
Right. Now these other people might come and like, ooh, we could get money. 2 games in 1 year, like,
Yeah.
ooh, money, 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 and not even think about the story or how it's going to talk to each other or nothing.
But I
So
think
I'm
it's
hoping nobody abuses it.
yeah, yeah.
But
I really hope they don't discredit, like they don't do something like that where they don't really care about the story and they don't segue it or they don't put the time into it to make it make sense. That would be terrible. But I think in the end, I think matter of fact, that's a crazy idea now that I think about it. But let me go back to what I was just about to say. Um, I think at the end, as developers, it's almost like them making DLC basically, right? They're gonna make they was gonna make DLC regard. They was gonna make extra content regardless. Aside from the main game, because that's just today's day and age. Like
mm,
that's just normal. So it's a factor of how you do it. Um, and I think Kojima is doing a creative way of doing DLC. That's why I'm thinking in my head that, as a matter of fact, this is probably Kojima's DLC in a spiritual state. You understand what I'm saying?
hmm
Because there might not be DLC planned at all. Like the team or whoever's running whatever, they might have said, okay, we need DLC, but Kojima's like, okay, I'm not going to add stuff to my game in the traditional sense because once I'm done with my story, I'm done with my story.
right, right.
Saying so, there's like, oh yeah, a prequel is probably a good way of doing it. But now that I'm thinking, this is the idea I was thinking about. I was like, man, this would actually work really good. It could be a prequel, the full game, and then an epilogue as
hmm
DLC. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
so it'll be like how DLC is in today. Like, it'll be released after the game is out, but it'll just be like one whole story. You know what I'm saying? Like one cohesive story, like a book. Like you open the book, get introed in, you get to the meat, and then you get the closing fan service or whatever. So I don't know. I think bottom line, what I'm trying to say is developers could be creative with how they present DLC, and it doesn't have to be the traditional format of what we see now. That'll be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. It's funny enough that I mentioned God of War earlier about how they kind of they dropped the ball in terms of their prequel.
Hmm.
But one of the reasons why God of War is one of my favorite games of all time is because they actually are one of the few, maybe probably even the only developer that I've played that actually marries one game to the next perfectly. So the fact that they whiffed on this ascension is shocking to me because they already had the formula.
Yeah.
Like literally, it was so glued together that
Hmm.
literally the last thing you did in that game
Hmm.
is the first thing you do in the next game. Like
Okay.
like literally like so from God of War 1 to God of War 2, God of War 1 he becomes a god,
Right.
right? He goes, he takes his place on the throne. What happens in God of War 2? You're sitting on the throne and you get up. Now, they try to get cute with it and said that there was time that passed and they made a handheld game out of it. So between the events of God of War 1 and God of War 2, something happened, right? But when you see it as it plays from God of War 1 and God of War 2, I think they made up that was their clever way of trying to add more to the story. But when you play the actual campaign God of War 1 and you play God of War 2,
Hmm.
this dude is literally taking uh picking up where it ended. And then in God of War 2, he's on his way to get Zeus. He's climbing the mount. I'm about to say Mount Zion. Mount, what is it?
Mount
I'm gonna say
Olympus.
Mount Rushmore. Mount Olympus. He's climbing
See
Olympus
Kratos' head on the side of this.
to, to get Zeus.
Mm.
What happens in God of War 3? He's on Gaia's back on his way to Zeus. So they perfectly married each and every God of War, at least in the consoles, to each other. And that's what I want to see more from gaming. Like, yo, this dude ends the game with him off the cliff. Like God of War 3, right? He's on a cliff bleeding.
Yeah.
Somebody moves him from the mountain. What I want to see in God of War 4 is just, maybe you just see his arms being dragged through the mud and somebody pulling him, but you don't know who. But it's
Right.
picking up exactly where that one ended. So I love that. That was like, wow, this is what I always wanted from a game, to actually literally pick up from where they ended. So the fact they didn't do it Ascension was crazy to me. I mean, of course they couldn't pick up where they left off because it's a prequel, but I'm saying the prequel should have led to the events of God of War 1,
Right.
right? In my mind, I'm picturing this dude, because I think in God of War 1 he's standing on a mountain contemplating suicide, and then he jumps. I wanted God of War Ascension to end with him on that mountain,
Right.
to look down and be like, this is it. That would have been crazy. That would have been so epic.
Yeah.
But they ain't do it. In any case, I think that's all the things I've been playing.
All right.
I might have missed some, but it's nothing to go crazy over.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Let me set the stage.
Set the stage.
So you got, of course we in the next gen now.
Right.
And, me and Ace, we experienced some things in last gen that we feel like now that with this new technology, we should be able to see some things and some growth and some movement from developers that we had never seen before.
Right.
So, and I have actually a series that I'm working on. It's called the Should series, where I'm basically saying, should some of these things that we seen last gen even be a part of this gen? So with that said, that's the spirit of what this is, and we're just going to do it in a review format so we can attack certain categories and just go down the line, and we're just going to take it from there. So, yeah,
So that's the long story of it.
it's a long story.
All right. So I guess we're gonna start off with graphics. That's the main thing that people like to talk about first, anyway. And that's when you think about next gen, you think about graphics first. Oh man, the graphics gonna be next gen. That's the that's the crown
Yeah,
jewel,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
So if graphics, if that's the talk of the town,
mhm.
one, I have a couple questions. One is, of course, the topic. What do you expect from graphics next gen? But two, right now, do you think we've seen it? Do you think we are achieving next gen graphics?
Okay, I want to answer that second question first, but first, before I do that, I want to ask you a question. The next gen graphics, are you saying from last gen?
Yeah, I'm
That
saying, okay, this is the thing. I see what the problem might be.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
The problem might be, okay, define next gen, right?
yeah,
Now, this is the thing. I really truly believe, forget what everybody talking about. Forget what y'all talking about. See, I believe I save a lot of people time, right?
right.
If you follow me, I'm gonna save you some time.
Hmm.
So what I mean by that is this. Everybody trying to be politically correct and say, what are you talking about next gen? What is next gen? Everything is next gen, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's no such word. Like we can't use the word.
Right.
And then you have, okay, there is a next gen, but there's so many different variant of opinions of what next gen should be, is really not even relevant.
Yeah.
Now I say, forget what everybody talking about. Next gen, that's a real word. it means something to the general public. When you hear that word, it rubs you in a certain way where you have an expectation.
Right.
Um, Now, with that said, there are people who want specifics that might vary on what they may feel personally next gen is to them.
Mhm.
Now, when I ask you the question, I'm saying specifically, and when because we're talking about expectations,
Mhm.
when you thought about next gen before you saw one game, when you just knew that these new consoles was being birthed, and in your mind you already see the best of what we had for last gen, current gen, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
In your mind, as far as the second question goes, have you seen in your mind what you expected?
Mhm. I would say it, that's also it could be broad too. But basically, what I'm going to bring it down to is that I've seen next gen on a small amount of games, and the thing is, the next gen games I've seen were are not released and don't have much gameplay out on it yet.
All right, let me make it easier. Forget the games that have been released in that people actually are playing in their homes or have the potential to play in their homes.
Mhm.
Forget the order, forget division, forget all that. Uh, just games that's out right now. Sports games, the Assassin Creeds,
Oh, okay. So it was out now. Have I seen
yeah.
next gen
Let's
yet?
just deal with what's out right now, just to keep it more focused.
No, I haven't seen next gen.
Okay, cool. So you haven't seen next gen. So in the graphics department, what do you expect from next gen? What will make you go, ah, we're here, we
Um,
arrived?
it's.
Graphically.
I think graphically is the main part of it is not cutting corners as a developer. And I'm not even sure we got the technology for that yet. Even the new systems, how beastly they are now, I'm not sure we can get there yet. But what I mean is, all right, let's say you see an object in the game, right? And
Mhm.
there's like let's say there's two poles next to each other, and the two poles look like you can walk in between it, no problems, and you just keep it moving.
Mhm.
And there might be a shortcut or something like that.
Mhm.
And in some certain games, it might be a dire aspect on that little shortcut could be your life or death. Let's say it would have been a zombie game, and zombies are like behind you and just trying to hoard you right now, and you it'll split second you can die. So, but you see it in the game, and you're like, okay, I can go through this. But turns out that it has an invisible wall on it, and you can't go through that. You know what I'm saying? So I think everything that you see on the screen needs to be uh uh like you can I guess I'm not even gonna say interact because it's not really interacting. It's just like it's there. Like stop using like invisible walls and cheap moves. Because you put this thing in the game, and you can't go through it. But to go to the more traditional thing of what people think about graphics, um, I just think that it goes back to the shortcut thing, but it just is you don't want to like have your main character and your supporting cast looking all great and stuff like that, and then you have the car in the background next to him
Mhm.
looking like something from the PlayStation 1. You know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
don't want um you don't want basically inconsistency. You want to try to keep even if you got to sacrifice your main character and your supporting cast a little bit just to make everything else look good. Oh, you know what? I take that back on my first statement because I will say that from what I've seen on Rise, I think that it does what I'm saying right now. So that might be the first next gen game that I've seen.
Okay.
Um, Rise. So yeah, what I'm saying is like, yeah, the main character looks good, the environment looks good, but also, the randoms in the game, the random enemies that you fight, they look good. They look like they got the same level of detail. You know what I'm saying? Like they are actually people instead of just puppets waiting to get beat up or killed or whatever. So um I think that'll be cool. I would love to see um just more effects like how we seen in the Divisions
Wait,
demo.
before you continue, just to sum up that first section that you talked about,
Uh-huh.
you basically saying that the quality from the main character to the ground to the wall
Mhm.
to the car all has to be on the same level.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
All right.
Sound
So
effects. I mean effects.
yeah. So the effect, what I mean is like, okay, let's say you shoot like a wooden plank, right? And that wooden plank is, or that wooden whatever, has the sun coming through it. So you want to see the light go through it. You know what I'm saying? Because that would bring a whole new level of immersion. Because now you're like, okay, man, everything I do really affects the
Mm-hmm.
environment. It's not just, oh, I can hit this fire hydrant and the water spurts out, but when I try to break this door, I can't break the door down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think, it's just the way everything has to be cohesive. Everything has to come together, and it just cannot be inconsistencies. I think that we at a point that we can bring consistency, and everything could just equally look good, and no shortcuts, no BS, just straight up graphics.
Cool. I mean, I think when I first thought about next gen and I thought photorealism, right?
Hmm.
So now I'm thinking maybe that was too ambitious. Maybe we won't get photorealism. Even though I felt like certain games gave me hope that photorealism could be uh uh a real thing. Um Games like Heavy Rain. Um I was like, "Oh shoot. We're not that far." Um Now I'm gonna try to stick to the games. I mean, I will stick to the games that exist, and I'll answer the same question. I don't feel there was a game that really represents next gen.
Hmm.
Rise might be the closest, but I can't judge completely because I haven't had Rise in front of my face.
Yeah.
But what I've seen from Rise, it looks great.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that's not the best that we have that graphics has to offer. If
True.
that's the best, I'll be disappointed, right?
Yeah.
So that like, the other perspective is I ain't hear no buzz
Hmm.
about the game, not the actual game. Forget that if it's good or not. I didn't hear, yo, I'm proud to be a gamer.
Yeah.
This game is the best looking game ever made. I That buzz if it exists, is very small.
Right.
You know when a game drops and it graphically changes the game. You know that's the talk of the town.
Yeah.
So with Rise, I didn't get that. So just off of that and the fact that what I seen already didn't give me that feeling,
Hmm.
still feel like we got some more to work to do. But like I said, when I was playing my Heavy Rain, I'm playing Uncharted, I'm playing The Last of Us. In my mind, I'm thinking, oh shoot, next stop, photorealism. Next, the tier down from that would be what you brought up before in the past, Uncanny Valley.
All right.
I probably could deal with an Uncanny Valley. If we can't get photorealism, Uncanny Valley is the next tier.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you know, to be all the way honest, I feel like that should be the bus stop. If
Yeah. I agree with this
no
one.
lower than Uncanny Valley.
Hmm.
If I can't get photorealism, Uncanny Valley. No, oh, you might get a mixture of PS3 graphics versus some textures that can't be done on a
Yeah.
PS3. I don't really want that. I want Uncanny Valley or photorealism. Now, with that said, um, I think in my mind I had it all mapped out. I summed it up, and I was like, we know when we arrived or we're on our way when we can get, and by the way, this is still downplaying the next gen. If we can get Heavy Rain graphics in
Mhm.
an open world environment. So basically, if Heavy Rain met GTA 5, I mean GTA series, right? If Heavy Rain meets GTA, you get that same level of quality that you've seen in Heavy Rain character models on every building, all the NPCs, all the ground, everything looks like Heavy Rain, but on a bigger scale. Like they could make the whole world look like the main characters in Heavy Rain. Um, that's when I was like, okay, now we starting to arrive because it's common knowledge that an open world game is gonna suffer in the graphics department just because they got so many things to render. Um, so that was my thing. That was my that standard. Heavy Rain meets GTA. And not from a gameplay standpoint. I'm just saying, look, of course. So that was my thing. Now, um, there's so many things that come with graphics that I don't know if everything could be summed up in one cast, but I will say that I think everything in the world should be touchable.
Yeah.
You know, uh, if this dude has on a jacket, that jacket shouldn't just froth through the wind, right?
Yeah,
Which is
or it shouldn't stick
phenomenal.
to his body, right?
Definitely should. We definitely should say no. Not one game on this in the next gen should have a coat that is stuck to the body. That coat should not only move, but that coat should be able to come off in a fight.
Hmm.
It should rip.
Right.
It should be moved like out of place. It shouldn't be perfectly in the same position throughout the whole game, especially if he's going through things, jumping over stuff, fighting people, whatever. Um, I think of sports games, dude should be able to grab his jersey. Um, there should be physics that transcend anything we've seen on Xbox 360, PS3. There is so many uh, um, like I said, there's so much elements to graphics, and I feel like we haven't arrived. Like I can't grab somebody's jersey in NBA 2K. I can't grab somebody's jersey in Madden 25. They're just there and they move. It looks cool. And in the Madden series, nothing moves. It's just stuck on. Stupid.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
maybe the towels move,
Hmm.
but we should be past that point. Like there should not be a situation where the towel is in one position the whole game perfect. Even the where you put the thing. I think uh there was some what's the word I'm looking for? Limitations with where they could put the towel. I
Hmm.
think they mentioned like if they put the towel in the front, it'll have clippings to
Right.
the jersey or whatever. So they had to put it on the side. But in the NFL, people wear their towels wherever. They wear it behind them, on the side, in the front, all that, right?
Hmm.
So right now, next gen football should have the towels wherever the player actually wants to wear it, and
Hmm.
that towel should be grabbable.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean? Like I should be, if I, and all of this is
And then
not
you
gonna
act like
happen
you act like you about to tackle them, but you end up grabbing the towel by mistake and then lose them.
right. That's you hit it on the head. It's not that I'm gonna go and grab a towel.
Yeah.
It's the fact
It
that
creates
physics is just
scenarios.
gonna right.
Scenarios.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I might not perfectly grab. I might be aiming to grab one area of him
Yeah.
and wind up hitting his towel, and the towel flies off. How
Yeah.
phenomenal would that be?
Yeah.
Uh, Me grabbing, cause in football holding.
Mhm.
There's different ways of holding. I can hold, hug him. I can give him a hug. I can grab his jersey, and actually, in certain cases, grabbing the jersey is legal. So those create those type of scenarios where I could just grab his jersey, even horse collar, where you grab inside the collar and you pull. You can't. That's illegal now. You can't grab inside the collar and pull the person to the ground backwards.
Right.
So how do I create that in next gen? I have that has to be possible. I have to be able to do that. If that can never grab inside of a person's jersey, which is taking it to the next level, I think people would just be happy that you could grab the jersey. But if
Yeah.
you could grab the inside of the jersey and pull
Yeah.
by accident, trying to grab him any piece, because football's moving fast. You trying to grab this dude and get him to the ground. That's your goal. But he's trying for you to not do that. So that force meeting each other, you trying to grab and pull, you might pull his hair, and which actually they say, is legal if you got long hair and it's covering your jersey.
Mhm.
They consider that part of the jersey.
Right.
So a Troy Polamalu who has long hair down his back, you can grab his hair and pull him to the ground. These are the things that should exist in next gen. These are the things that I expect out of next gen. Um, Not the same foolishness that you got out of this generation. I won't say foolishness because it was with the time, but when you moving on and you're doing bigger and better things,
Mhm.
I shouldn't be able to. I shouldn't be like, oh, and this is gonna be the trend. Oh, it does everything the other one does, but it looks better.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That this should be so
Yeah.
far and beyond that I should be like, wow,
Mhm.
I'm here. Every
Yeah.
time I see a game that I'm playing, I should be like, wow, I'm
Yeah.
here. I arrived.
Yeah.
And that's the thing on the graphics that I'll say so far with that.
Mhm.
So now where we at? Story.
Yeah.
Let's look at story. How do you feel storytelling should what do you expect out of storytelling from next gen?
Okay. Story is an important subject to me personally. And I value it a lot. And I think that in the next gen, what it really comes down to is character development. Um, Building a character and making you love that person and hate that person, but it has to be more than that. Like you have to get a feeling, a sense that you know it can be. I like what I'm really trying to say is like the story is very character driven to the point where it kind of relies on it. Like you kind of need the character to progress. Like it's like the thing about why I stopped watching football. It's like or why I stopped watching wrestling. It's because the characters wasn't really there. So it kind of got boring um after a while. Like the players, the football players wasn't that I liked that I thought was great and uh had it all was gone. And same thing with wrestling, the guys that had charisma and everything and that I grew up on was gone. So I think it's the same thing with games. You just need to have someone that the people loves and keeps coming back to be honest with you. I think that should be first and foremost because I think one of the major successes in most things, like let's say no, I give Breaking Bad for instance. The major success of Breaking Bad, let's just be frank, it was Walter White, just one character. People wanted to see how he reacted in certain situations and how he basically went through this journey that he's going through. And certain developers do that, but certain developers don't. Like one of my favorite developers out there, Bethesda, they don't really. delve that deep into characters. Yes, they have some. As a matter of fact, I think they had some better characters in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion than Skyrim. Um, because it felt like they had the writers had more care to it, and like they kind of like shined and left an impression. And that's the thing, though. That's another thing. I think it's all about experiences when you play a game. It's all about remembering that one time you did this and that. If you got a generic character, you're not going to remember much things that you did with them. But if you have somebody that's memorable, that's something that will keep you there for a long time and keep you coming back. Now, of course, since it's video games, yes, you do have stuff like gameplay and stuff that keep you coming back. But I'm talking about as far as story goes. I think that's the most important thing for me. Let me try to think of something else. Maybe um, I think another thing is that I think the developers need to start doing in the next gen or whatever as far as story. They really need to start fully fleshing out their lore. And some people might not know what lore is, but it's basically just background of a game, a monster, a person, or whatever, a universe. Basically, I want them to take something and give depth to it. So here's this guy. Or here's this like listen, I'll just use monster because that's one of the most things that you see in the game. Here's this monster, um, but what's his background? Like what drives this monster? What's this monster weakness? What's this monster strengths? What is there a certain time of day that this monster is best at? Is a certain time of day that you see this monster? It's just so much things that they can do. Like where did it come from? And it's not only with monsters, but I'm just saying like the general premise. Just add more to everything that you put in the game. Don't just let it be a surface thing. Don't just let it be that generic thing, that generic person, or that generic. Even if you like, let's say you had a sci-fi shooter that you made, don't let it just be a generic weapon. You can build lore to it, so you can have a company that manufactures this weapon, and they build their weapons the way this way for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like, just give it a thorough background because that would bring the world so much alive, and it'll make it very very believable when you're playing it, you're seeing purpose behind everything. So that's what I feel about the story section.
What about the length? Do you have an expectation
Uh,
on the length of games? How long they should be?
well, I think it should be more than 5 minutes
I think
because
you have no
because
problem, man. I think you're gonna be straight.
yeah, because some people try to leave it at 5 minutes and then end up going for hours. No, I'm just messing. But no, but really, what it comes down to, right, is it's good that you actually brought that up because I can't believe I forgot that. That's probably one of my main things to talk about when it comes to story. But I thought I was going to put that in the gameplay section. That's probably why. But as far as story length, I think it should be the standard should be no less than 20 hours.
Mm.
No less than 20 hours because you have the technology to do it. You have the disk space to do it. You should have, well, hopefully you would have the budget to do it. I'm talking about for the AAA guys out there. Um, so especially if you've been milking the franchise for like X amount of years, like yeah, you should step your story game up. But I think I say 20 hours because the average game of last gen was 10 to 15 hours. And I take the max one and I just added 5 hours on it and I said, you know what? a 20-hour game is a game because I played 20-hour games that I literally know that it was 20 hours, and it feels like a strong, rich experience. And you, at the end of the game, you feel complete. You don't feel like you want more. You don't feel, you kind of feel satisfied. I mean, well, you may feel like you want more. Like there's some games that's just so good you can't help it. But at the end of the day, you don't say that it wasn't enough. That's the main factor. You don't want to look back at a game and say, well, that game was too short. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then there's a double-edged sword. Like you don't want to say that it's too long because some people just don't have the time.
Yeah.
But then again, if it's only 20 hours, I'm pretty sure you can get it done in a month if you don't have time like that, but you want to play the game. Yeah, you can get it done. You can get it
Let
done.
me tell you.
Like,
Let me
and
tell you
games are
what's
always going
so.
to be there. It's not like, you know,
Let me
uh,
tell you what's so ironic about you saying you want 20-hour games standard. You can't finish 5-hour games.
like what? What's the 5 hour game?
Your backlog gonna be
Mac? You talking
you
about?
think your backlog is crazy now? You gotta get through 10,
Yeah,
20, 30, 20 hour games.
I I really got to do something.
You are gonna do
See,
one
but
game. You're gonna do one game a generation.
yeah, yeah. But the problem
But
with most games is but this goes into to gameplay. But yeah, it's some games it's just the difficulty that kind of slows you down on the story. And
you had to pull a hip hop and put everything on easy.
yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be doing that, but still, it's just that's the nature of the beast. So um, at the end of the day, yeah, I think 20 hours is not bad. 15 to 20. So we'll take the max of last gen, the average max of last gen, and add a little another five on it and make it 20.
I'm torn between length of the story
Mhm.
because great game stories and depends on the developer. But at the same time, I feel like they need to take advantage of the technology that's there. So I feel like uh, some used to hear a lot. Oh, sometimes the length of the game was direct result of the technology.
Right.
It couldn't fit everything in or whatever the case is. So if that's not a crutch no more,
Mm.
then we should naturally be getting longer games. And developers can explore as much as they need to with these consoles. And so I feel like everything needs to step up. So if it means longer, meaning more rich experiences, I'm all for. But if occasionally that was the developer's thing from the get, his thing was only supposed to be 7 hours, 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That was just the story. It had nothing to do with I had to cut this off for that or that for this or that. Maybe you just make the most amazing 8 hour game. I don't know. But I always was torn between that. I'll take a longer game all day, but everything has to make sense.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and as far as story, I'm not sure. Developers are doing a great job from the games I play with the story in terms of, actor is an actor. That just comes down to talent at that point. If you're talking, I felt like it's from a technology, because all of this is mainly from a technology standpoint, um, that the PS4 and the Xbox allows. So what you can get is length. I think about length. I think about, i- a couple of games that I feel like could benefit from technology as far as uh, dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Sports games. I think sports games need to step up in their dialogue because
Yeah.
they're very repetitive.
Yeah.
It's not natural, and they don't talk. Like I was talking to somebody. I don't know if it was you or somebody. I was talking about WWE games and how and when you watch the WWE programming, they talk through the person's entrance. they might be like, when the person comes out, they might be like, oh, such and such, the world heavyweight champion for 3 weeks now. He's the man in the company. Everybody's gunning for him. He had a fight last week, a tough one, and he came out on top. Blah 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 blah. Right? Basically, giving you history of the person coming down the ring and what they went through the past week. But in the game, all you hear is silence. Just the crowd and you walking down the ring. It feels so empty. It feels like something's missing. And
Right, right,
it's
right.
the commentary. The commentary is not backing it. It's not amping the fight. It's not
Yeah.
making you look forward to the fight. And WWE is really behind the curveball. I think Madden actually got better, and I don't know if it's because of the team. I don't know, the team they chose or they figured it out, but it's starting to move into that. Okay, they're talking more. They're talking about the history. They're talking about what happened last year, who went to the Super Bowl, what players they picked up. So I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere.
Mhm.
And I knew that this thing could exist. And the funny thing about it, I don't even know if it's next gen because you seen some of the stuff in the 2K game, like very thorough commentary. Well, not commentary, but thorough analysis of games. So Chris Berman will break down the game very specific and go through all the teams in the league and show you highlights of the game and talk about each game and how much they scored and how many touchdowns. And so I was like, wow, that's pretty advanced for especially back then. So I know the hope is there. Now I'm just hoping they could just make it one cohesive experience where there's no difference between TV
Yeah.
and the game. It's just like one and one, 1-1. So that's where I feel like dialogue could really benefit in the sports arena. I think in the AAA titles they do a great job already. Of course, here and there, you know, you might have, places where you could drop dialogue that you probably would avoid it prior because of space or whatever. But overall, I'm cool with sound for the most part. Sound with story. I
Right.
think the length just probably needs to step up in what I just said prior to all of that other stuff.
Also,
Uh,
real quick before we move forward, I wanted to add voice actors. We need more voice actors in certain games. Certain games requires a lot of voice actors, and you'll go to like a character in the game, and they'll start repeating themselves. They'll say the same thing. You go to try to talk to them,
yeah,
and they'll
right,
start
right,
saying
right,
the same thing over and over again. So,
right, right, right.
so yeah, but that really comes down to like budget. But
Yeah, that would be phenomenal. That is natural, and every time you go um to the person. Matter of fact,
or at least it
it's it
feels
should
like it. You
it's
know.
you might not even it should be advanced enough where it should be natural. Like for instance, right? If I'm in a room with somebody,
Hmm.
I may not go to them 10, 15 times and
Sure.
ask them,
Yeah.
questions or the same thing.
Yeah.
Uh, so maybe games need to be structured in a way where it
It
comes
knocks you
off
out.
natural.
Yeah.
Like you're talking to a human. You're not
Yeah.
just like, hey, what you want? What
Yeah.
you do it? Why you
And,
there?
and,
Like,
and also you don't try to talk to everyone in the room.
right? You going to everybody on the earth and you talking to them like, hey, what do you? I
Exactly.
want to
There's
talk
gonna be
to
some
over
people that
there.
don't want to talk to you, that they don't like you. You know what I'm saying? So
It's
I
just
think they need to really get to the
culture.
point where they convey the vibe where there might be some people that just don't like you, but you have to actually visually see that. And that kind of goes into graphics because the graphics got to be right in
Right.
order for you to get the vibe that yeah, this person is mugging me. I might not want to talk to him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like yeah, I think that's important.
Or even better, yeah, they can set it up in the and set it up like culture, where the culture is just understood that you don't talk to everybody on the planet. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe they say that through dialogue. Maybe they say, through narration. Somebody could be like, "Yeah, you're in a world where most people don't talk. It's just go about your business and move on." Or, I don't know. However they figure out how to set it up,
I think
You know that you're
it should
walking
be like
around
real
doing
life, like
something.
But that's the thing, though. Games have been games for a while, so all right. Because we complain about NPCs, which is like the non-playables, right? It's just randoms in the world, not talking to each other and having conversations. Now, some games do that, like Red Dead and stuff like that. Um, but at the end of the day, we complain about them, not talking to each other because in most games they don't talk to each other. They're really, basic. So I think I think it should just be like real life. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, you'll have a casual conversation pop up out of nowhere, but then you'll also have people just moving about, and not necessarily everybody is talking at all times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just all about structure, like they need to get out the box that they was in these past couple of generations and relook the way that system is structured.
You know what's so funny? Funny enough, it may already exist, right? Look at I think those games where you feel that obligation is their fault. They gave you that. They gave you that freedom to do
Yeah.
that. Talk to the whole town. The whole town is talkable. But look at like GTA, right?
Hmm.
I'm thinking about all the GTA's I play. I don't walk up to every single person and try to talk to them because that's not how it's built.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just walking and they minding their business, and I'm walking, I'm minding my business.
Hmm.
And then whoever I need to talk to is specific people that I'm having dealings with, just like in real life.
Right.
So I think they already created that naturally without even trying. They ain't had to tell me. They didn't have to set it up in a certain way. It's just how it is. Like you don't just walk up to everybody. And I think the games that are trying to bring that element in is not being true to the thing. Now there's certain cultures where that is very um the thing to do.
Hmm.
Everybody talks to everybody. You might live in a town that's only like 500 people,
Yeah.
and everybody. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. It's disrespectful if you don't talk.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yeah, cool. Create that world, make it believable, make it natural, and go through that. But if you're doing things like United States and that culture, we all know. So I think GTA does a great job of it without even trying. And I think if games make it more like that, then I think we know there's nothing to discuss. Which actually is one of my articles that I'm gonna do in the future of just about the separation of next gen and um, what hasn't been done. There's two different things. Um, or what hasn't been done and what can't be done. Those are two different things.
Hmm.
But in any case, moving forward, uh, uh, gameplay. Now, gameplay is the reason I knew I was ready for the next gen.
Right. Right.
uh, but go ahead. I'll let you share your thoughts on what you expect from next gen gameplay.
Yeah, man. It's so much to talk about with gameplay. So much to talk about. But I guess I'll touch up on some of the most important topics. And I think one for me is just about mechanics. It's something similar to what we were talking about earlier in the graphics portion, but it's more of the interaction aspect of it. You need to be able to interact with everything. You need to be able to, pick up this like if the game allows you to pick up a pack of cigarettes, you should be able to smoke it. You know what I'm saying? You should be able to
Right,
take
right.
your lighter and light it up and smoke it. Why? but but yeah, no, no, it's just simple things, or if the game is structured on a day-to-day thing, you need to be doing day-to-day things. So if the game allows you to sleep, right, you need to be able to get into bed, do the animation to get into bed. um I think that's a huge thing. Animations
Oh
really need to step
God,
this game up.
kill me
But
now.
yeah, but yeah, so you get into bed, you lay down, you tuck yourself in, with the sheets. I'm talking about you pull the sheets over you and whatever, and then you wake up. You got an animation at night. You slipped off your shoes or whatever. You probably even they probably black it out or whatever. Do that whatever fancy way they want to do it to censor it. But you get dressed or whatever. You get undressed. Put on your shoes, your boots or whatever. Now some people don't have the patience for that.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
nah,
saying?
that's the other thing.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a double-edged thing, but I feel like some things might be overdone. So yeah, the maybe to put it on the shoes is a bad thing.
Which
But
personally I thought that I would love,
yeah,
but
yeah, I
I
think we
know that
both, you and me
everybody.
both. But
Yeah.
really, like just all right, how about drinking? You at a bar, you gotta, and you gotta make it realistic. If the person is drinking, you don't want the you don't want the liquid to be still in the glass. Like it's just a
Right.
texture. You know what I'm saying? You just pick it up and nothing is moving. You know what I'm saying? It's just static. It looks like you're drinking ice. Um. So yeah, that's something definitely that needs to happen. You know what I'm saying? And definitely with weapons. Like if a weapon has a stock, in real life, like let's say if it's a rifle, if a weapon has a stock, you might be able to collapse it for close range, and then open it up for long range. So now you got two different type looking weapons. Because in older games, they will give you two different type like let's say if it's an AK-47, right? And it's the full length one with the stock and everything. They'll give you one called just a model in the game called AK-47. Now let's say there might be the same one but with a stock like pulled to the side or pulled under or whatever. And for those of you who don't know what stock is, it's basically the the thing that you put on your shoulder to aim. Like you put it in the pocket of your shoulder to aim. But in any case, they would take that other gun. It looks the same, exactly the same stock, and they'll close it, collapse it or whatever, and they would name it something else. So like they'll say AK-47C. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just letting you be able to open and close it at will, put on a take a new sight that you just got, physically put it on there, put on your red dot, your flashlight, and then you're ready to go. Or put it off, magazines, you throw it on the ground, but at the end of the fight, you pick it back up. You put it in your pouches or whatever. I mean, it's crazy. Like it's simple stuff, but it can go a long way to really like throw you into that world. Like, man, I'm watching a movie or I'm there. You know what I'm saying? One of the two. But yeah, so that's something that's huge for me. I think another thing with gameplay is that the things that you can do is kind of limited in games. Like there's a lot of like basic aspects. Like but it's very case by case thing, because in some games, like let's say Assassin's Creed for instance, it allows you to climb things. It's really literally built from the ground up for you to climb and parkour things. But in a game like Skyrim, you can't climb or whatever. Um, and it kind of like just limits you to a certain state of mind. Like I'm just running around on the ground at ground level, and I'm just doing it. But if you introduce different aspects as far as like verticality, now you could do crazy different things. So for instance, if I was a vampire, in Skyrim or whatever, or no, I ain't not even. I'm not going to use vampire because vampire is more supernatural. Not super, because this is gonna be stupid. What I was gonna say, I was gonna mention werewolf. I was like, they both supernatural. But with a werewolf, you can just get the werewolf, and now he gets to climb on the tree. Now you get on top of a rock or a mountain face or whatever, and then just jump down and pounce on your prey. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean by new gameplay mechanics. Being able to do things that you would think or that thing could do. being able to do things a person you would think a person can do. Um, and yes, you can bend the rules because it's a video game, but I think the main thing is, like it's certain things that you don't really see in games that's done. Like for instance, like let's say even something as simple as an animal eating an animal. You know what I'm saying? Like a fish or a shark or whatever eating a fish whole. Something as simple as that. Um, but what? Let's say if the shark bites a person or bites a thing, or not even bites a thing. Let's say you kill an animal and you toss it in the water. You start to see the blood start flowing in the water like a pool of blood, and all of a sudden it attracts like different sea creatures to try to eat it or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, like I say, it's certain things that developers need to think out the box with and not just have the same generic style games. And I think it's a pretty bad thing for them to even think to keep doing things the way it's been done for the past three generations, I would think. Which is basically if it's a shooter, you just run around, you shoot, you got basic cover mechanics, and one gimmick thrown in there. So I think it needs to be more well thought out. Um, animations really need a overhaul, and I believe a lot of studios are getting budgets now to be able to do so because what's crazy to me though, just on the side note, I see these studios with all right, there'll be a game with just like five animations, right? The studio buys the equipment and it's theirs, and you can clearly see that it's in their facility and the stuff that they use to make animations is there. But so I'm thinking that it's already paid for, so it should be free of cost, like literally free of cost. The only thing that you could say is that you're hiring a person to actually do the animations, which you can actually argue. But I think to do simple things like sit down or sit down in different ways or move around or whatever, like a human would do, I don't think it really takes a professional to do that. I think professionals are really brought in for combat style things or stuff that really takes skill to do. So, but like just the very mundane things in life, I think they could really just have like random people in the studio just do those animations and that'll make the game so much better. So, but just in general, I think games need to have a lot of animations, like a lot of animations. It shouldn't be redundant. It should feel fresh and new every time you swing that sword, or you throw that pass, or you shoot that person, whatever. So that's how I feel
But
about gameplay.
on that about the buying, animation company or whatever. Um, Going back to graphics real
What
quick.
what'd you say? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was saying to piggyback off what you were saying about the companies buying animation companies or whatever,
Okay.
whatever you was hitting on over there. Just to go back to graphics real quick. Um, in my mind, I think that every game in the world ever made from this point on should have the uh the wet cloth physics
Hmm.
of from Naughty Dog that they made famous. There
Yeah.
should not be a game where I'm going in the water and my clothes don't get wet. That's absolutely unacceptable at this point.
Yeah.
Um, and what they need to add to that is hair. I mean, hair gets wet, but it doesn't change. So I think that the water should affect hair when it applies, because everybody hair don't change per se. I mean,
Hmm.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
hair moves is more obvious than others. Um, And also the standard should be from an animation standpoint. I think everybody should be using the LA Noir engine for the faces. I mean, it should be to the next level, but that should be standard. Every person's face should have that detail of a LA Noir, where every single thing, they blink, they move subtly to the left with their eyes, and all that should be on every character, especially the characters that you're interacting with face to face.
Right.
But I think that should be standard. There's just certain things. My expectations for this gen is certain things should be standard, and
Yeah.
those are two things
And like
that
let's say dirt or something, if you out in the Wild Wild West, you need to be able to have mud on your clothes or dirt on your clothes and your
right,
boots and
right,
stuff like
right,
that.
right. That
You
stuff
know,
should be standard. That's kind of like
or if you
when I
that'll be
go
nice if your horse falls over, you see the mud all over him. You know,
right,
that
right, exactly.
or you
Imagine
see
that.
stuff like quicksand. But that's another thing I wanted to touch on though on gameplay. Was I done? I don't even remember if
Where
I was done.
you
I don't know. Was I done? But
it sound like you
it
was
doesn't
trying to
matter.
wrap. It
I
sound like you
want
trying to wrap up.
yeah, I want to kind of like just add this in though, because I kind of forgot it. Yeah, but I do want environmental hazards. I want to see. I don't want to just see rain. I want to see lightning affect things. I want to see a lightning just randomly just strike a tree and then it just falls over and
Hmm.
possibly kill something. I
Hmm.
want to see tornadoes. I want to see tsunamis. Like I'm talking about real time tsunamis. That's probably not gonna be able to be done yet, but yeah, that would be crazy. Just be in a game and a random tsunami just pops up. Quicksand. I would love to see that. You know what I'm saying? And not just like a little stupid. I really don't want to see it as a stupid. And that's the thing though. We've seen it in games. We've seen. I think MGS 2. I mean no 3. Snake Eater. I think I might have had that. But I don't want to see. What I really want to see is a quick time cutscene or quick time event, or whatever they want to call it. The one that you got to press a button to get out. Like I don't want to see that in type of things. I want to feel like I'm struggling. I want to be
Yeah.
doing like different things to try to, oh, I see a little branch or a little thing, a little object to try to pull myself out. You know what I'm saying? Like just make it feel real instead of just like, oh, you're playing a video game. Triangle, press square. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
crazy. Um, what else? You know, just things, real things that happen in real life. You know what I'm saying? To come into gameplay and just affect you. Like you might be hungry or you might be dehydrated or like, cause that'll be crazy if you was Nathan Drake in the desert or whatever, and you're going through the game, and you didn't even know this was in the game, but all of a sudden Drake just started slowly hallucinating because he's dehydrated, and you kind of gotta try to find a clever way to get yourself in better shape. So I don't know. Like I say, just new mechanics, man. New mechanics, big thing.
They kind of explored that in Uncharted 3. I just, but I understand what you're saying. It's definitely some things they can do to make it feel like, oh shoot, this is it. This is the feel I wanted. This is the look I wanted. Um, but yeah, man, you hit it on the head, man. Animations, 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 and
You
more
know, it's funny.
animations.
I think I even posted that in one of Battlefields. Like that was literally the title of the post.
Animations,
Animations, animation.
animation,
Yeah.
animation.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I
that
think
that
developers starting to know that.
that right there is going to change the game. That's probably one of the biggest things that they need next gen to make it
Mhm.
feel next gen. I
Yeah.
mean, I have so many pet peeves I didn't even know I had about last gen. Like I said, gameplay is the reason I knew I was ready to move on.
Yeah.
um, where do I even start? Okay, the whole foolishness with walking over guns and they magically just disappearing.
Hmm.
into your body.
Or you magically
That's
pick it up.
that should not be in one game this gen. Not one. I should not walk over a gun with my feet
Hmm.
and it be in my body. That's foolishness 101. Uh Everything should have an animation. I should pick the gun up, secure the gun,
Right.
put the gun in the appropriate place. Um I think Uncharted comes the closest. When one of the things that made me fall in love with Uncharted is the fact that they respected uh real world aspects of life. For instance, they probably was one of the first developers to only carry what you can carry. So you don't got 900 guns of all kinds on your body. You simple, keep it simple. I'm a human being. I can only carry but so many guns. So he has a handgun and he has a long gun. Puts the long gun on his back. You see him put the long gun on his back. You see he has a holster or whatever. Got the handgun there. Um,
Hmm.
and then what else did they do that I liked? I think they started the whole. I think their animation system is the most advanced out of anybody's I've seen. They took it to the level where if you come too close to the wall, you stick your hand out, you touch the wall, brace yourself. Um, these little things that I seen was is something that should be standard
Hmm.
in the next gen, and it should be taken to the next level. Uh, I should not be able to take a RPG and I'm bucket naked and put the where's the RPG at?
Right.
Like have an explanation for that.
Yeah.
Where is the RPG going when I do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I have no shirt on. Forget that even if I did have a shirt on, where's the RPG going?
Yeah.
I already got like a machine gun, a handgun, with 10 machine guns, 10 handguns,
Yeah.
30 I might have a Gatling gun, all this crazy heavy artillery, and I'm moving through the world. I'm supposed to be quiet. I have all this stuff on. I got a missile on my back, and it just there's no explanation for it. What I was thinking how developers should handle that is if I need to use an RPG, I use it that one time and move
Right.
on. Leave it right where it is. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And um not be carrying out and pulling out at will.
Out your back pocket.
Out your back pocket, it disappears, it just comes into
I
your
think
hand.
I remember playing a game like that though. It was
I'm
pick
pretty
up,
sure somebody probably
tried it. Yeah, there's a
actually
lot of
Uncharted does it on a smaller scale. They even go. It's so funny. They go further, but then they don't respect it all the way. So
mm,
you can carry your RPG, I think I will, but you can't. Like there's certain guns you can't. They won't let you move to. I think the PK-80.
yeah.
That gun was so heavy. Um, you even move different when you had the gun. You move slower and you couldn't like go over a wall with it or go through the next level with it. You can't keep it basically. You had to use it and dispose of it. So you see it in spurts here and there, but there's no ultimate respect for that
Right.
philosophy. Um, and most developers they let you carry a limited amount of guns on you, and there's no explanation of where these guns are. They just appear and reappear and disappear. Grabbing things in the world, everything should make sense. I don't want to now. So what I've been seeing so far with last gen is that you'll grab some. Let's just say they took it that far, because sometimes you don't grab it. You just walk near it and it just goes into your body. But
Hmm.
let's just say they took it as they say, you know what? Nah, man, we gonna we gonna at least show a hand to simulate a grabbing, but there's no real interaction with the item.
Hmm.
It's just put your hand near it, somewhere in the vicinity, or they'll reach out. You press a button, they'll like kind of reach out next to the item, and they'll go into you magically. But what I want to see is it grab the thing, the item,
Mhm.
uh, secure the item, and it has to make sense. If you don't have a backpack, you're not carrying 900 guns. If you
Right.
don't have, you know, if you don't have nowhere to put this thing, just use it for what you need to use it for and get rid of it, or maybe you can't even use it just based on that. But I want to see one of the things that encouraged me is the little thing on the division. I don't even know if they nailed it, but
Right.
there was a water bottle there. He picks up the water, drinks the water. I think he like put it like this is another thing a developer do. They'll act like they're securing it, but they don't really secure it. So I pick up the water bottle, right? Great, you got me. It actually looks like he's touching the water bottle. Hands is on it, gripping the water bottle. But then he finishes the water bottle. Let's say he drinks it or whatever. Now he puts the water bottle. The hand goes behind his back. But
Mhm.
the hand goes behind his back. Where did it just go? Like a water bottle is not going to magically stick to the book bag.
Right. Right. Right.
So what I would love to see is him grab the water bottle, take his book bag off, open up the book bag, take the
Mhm.
water, put the water inside the book bag, close the book bag, put the book bag back on his back, and then continue. That's the animations I want to see. That's next gen animations to me.
Right. Right.
Even with clothing, don't let I pick up. What was it? Uh, uh, what's that? Hitman.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You might beat up a cook. You might beat up a cop. Whoever you want to take his clothes. His clothes just magically go on your body.
Yeah. Yeah. Just find some.
Like I want to see him.
At
Either
least
you
him walk.
go behind a
At least let him
bush,
walk in the
yeah,
closet
right?
or something like that.
Go in the
Right.
closet, go in the bush, go wherever you're gonna go, and let it take a second. You hear him putting his clothes on. They kind of, the game they kind of did it in Splinter Cell.
Mhm.
Even though it's not there, but what they did was, and I'm now thinking about it, but it was via cutscene. He's in his civilian clothes trying to fit in, and he goes through an environment and he wants to change to his ops gear.
Mhm.
So what they did was he goes in, looks around, closes. I guess he closed the door. Then the screen goes black, and you hear him going. You hear the clothes being put on, and
Right.
then you see him with the ops gear. So although they cheated a little bit, that's cool. If you're gonna, if you're, I hate to even say this, take shortcuts.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be no shortcuts. But if you're gonna take a shortcut, at least do it clever.
Yeah.
Make it
Yeah.
make sense. Okay, black the screen out. Let us hear the ruffling of clothes, and then boom, we got the clothes on. I
Yeah.
don't want to just walk over clothes and the clothes just be on me.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
and a game that could really benefit from that is like a GTA, where you constantly changing clothes and all of that. And I understand, of course, what we talked about earlier. It might annoy some people. They don't feel like going through the whole rigmarole, the 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 rigors of changing clothes, especially if you do it a lot.
Right. Right.
Or if you change clothes, which is not realistic, by the way, but let's just say you change clothes like 10 times a day, right?
Yeah.
Every single time you gotta take your clothes off, put your pants on one leg at a time. You gotta
Right.
throw your shirt on. Somebody might get mad. I can see that. I would love it, but that's just me.
Mhm.
But animation's huge. Uh, what else I would like to see? Yeah, weapon logic as far as money, magazine management. I think I came across that realization in Splinter Cell, where you want to shoot your gun, take the clip. If you take the clip out, first of all, you should shoot your gun till the clip is done. Then take the clip out, dispose of the clip, put the new clip in, continue on. But let's just say, for whatever reason, you want to take the clip out early. Either they need to show you take the clip out, put the clip on you somewhere and put a new clip in and respect the bullets that's in that clip. So
Mhm.
if it's a 16 clip fire and you shoot 14 of them, take the clip out. If you throw the clip away, you just lost 2 bullets.
Mhm.
If put the clip on you, you secure um you secure the bullets for later, and then when you come back to it, it should only be 2 bullets there. So stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and what else? Um, this whole dead body thing. You kill somebody, they disappear. That I think that should no longer exist in any game ever made.
Yeah.
Definitely no AAA title should be doing this. Everything, if you kill somebody, they should remain there. And like me and you was talking about off air, if they're gonna if they're gonna be gone and not
Right.
disappear, I don't like that word disappear because no human disappears.
Yeah, right.
But if they're not gonna be there anymore, make it make sense.
Mhm.
GTA 5, perfect example. You kill somebody in the world, what happens? Ambulance come, pick them up, take them to the hospital, secure the body. Great, that makes sense. Body not gonna be there the whole game. Um, but if you're in the woods, you kill somebody, and that's just understood. Maybe you at war. Maybe it's a game like God of War, um, which was so clever of them to do to use orbs, because that explains away everything.
Mhm.
But how amazing would it have been if Kratos kills all those skeletons or kills all those bodies, and then there's a heap of bodies there, or you kill a bunch of zombies
Mhm.
and they're all still there. Like you
Yeah.
see the bodies on top of
It's like
bodies.
it's like the movie 300 when all
Yeah,
those bodies piled up and then they just fell on top of
right.
the
And
army.
almost like a mountain of bodies.
Yeah.
That would be another level of immersion and realism that has never been achieved.
And it moves realistic too. It has weight. Bodies have weight.
Bodies have weight.
Skeletons, they don't. They have physics.
Yeah.
Skulls just roll off the side of things and stuff like that. So yeah, that'd be cool.
I always tell this story when I saw God of War trailer, and
Mhm.
it's the first game, God of War 3. First game on next gen consoles at the time, of course, because we come from the PS2, Xbox era. So they show God of War. I'm like, oh man. So he's running through the world. He's killing all these things, right? And I'm like, yo, how crazy would it be right now? At the end of this slaying, you see your work. You slay all these junk, all this blood spilling, all that. Like you said, almost like 300. Even again, I don't even know how Rise handled it. It'd be interesting. I want to know anybody who has Rise how they handle the body count in Rise. But you slaying all these joints, and then you just see your work. You just like, dag, or everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Bodies on top of bodies. I was like, now we arrive, but they continue with the orb system, which was fine. They could get away with it because it was fantasy. But I still would like for them to respect that.
Mhm.
But more importantly, for games that are dealing with realism, you got Call of Duty, you got, military, you got all these realistic takes on games. They should definitely respect that,
Right.
and have a reason for everything they do. That's really what it comes down to. Have an explanation for why things are happening in your world. Don't take me out of immersion for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Don't let me second guess. Like I'm in it, you got me, you sold me, and then something happens, and I'm like, huh? What?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even with the clippings and the random, I was thinking, how like we need a dedicated every developer should have a dedicated run button.
Mhm.
I actually thought at the time, because I think there used to be old school, there used to be a dedicated run button. Um, I believe I forgot exactly how they handled it,
You
but I
talking about
think they should
run or a sprint?
yeah, run sprint, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So but then developers started to say, you know what, we want to make it more realistic and more immersive. And the funny thing is, they made it less immersive. And I actually I was riding with the idea. And what they did was say, look, why not make it natural? The natural progression of walking is running,
Mm-hmm.
right? So why have a thing where you're walking, then all of a sudden you pressing something to run? Why not just have the weight that you put on the stick determine how fast you move? Which is genius. I love it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is the sensitivity on it. You might press it too much when you don't want to, too little. There's not a perfect system where I run exactly when I want to run and I walk exactly when I want to walk.
Yeah.
So, because of that flaw, I think it should go back to no, there should be a clear button that when I want to run, I run. You could even do what some games have done, not in that regard, but in other things. You can take the top of the button, I mean of the stick, and make that the run button. I
Right.
actually think Uncharted 3 does it. I'm not sure. But you take the stick, when you no matter how hard you push the stick, you're walking.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When you click the stick, you run. Maybe that's a resolve to keep it almost in the same family. Okay, the natural progression of walking is running.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, press that, run. That'll
Yeah.
be
How about what do you feel about in certain games where they could take control from you? So they tell you to walk when they want to, and they tell you to run when they want to,
Yo, that's a
like you're
great
forced.
question. That I was always torn with that because I always believed that in real life you can move the way you want to move. But I also thought it was genius that they take away that freedom in certain aspects because some people don't know how to enjoy a game.
Yeah.
They don't understand the story that the person is telling.
Yeah.
So what they're gonna do if you give them the power to run through the whole game, that's exactly what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
They're
And
gonna
they
run
don't
through the
pace
whole game.
themselves.
They don't pace themselves at all. It doesn't even make sense. Like you're running for no reason,
Yeah.
and no human can run
For that long.
for that long, and it just doesn't make sense at
Unless you
all.
what's his name?
Yeah,
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah. 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 Run,
Yeah.
Forrest.
So, with that said, I appreciated games that slowed it down and they made you walk when you're supposed to walk. Now, the problem is, like, even as you say that, I think about all of the stuff that the little stuff like jumping. Who the heck
Jumps
jumps
around.
randomly around the world? Like, hey, jump, jump,
Yeah.
jump,
Bunny
just
hops or
jumping,
something
just
like
buddy hopping and do all this stuff. So almost it's like, yo, they should take away the jump button only when you need to jump.
that. Hmm.
But I always was torn with that because the jumping brings another aspect of um, uh exploration.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can use it to do certain things, but it just looks out of place.
Yeah.
When you see somebody just jumping, 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 it got nothing to do with nothing. It just looks crazy.
Yeah. Jumping on your
So,
head, jumping in your face.
right. So actually, that was one of my things that I wanted from next gen. Everything to look right.
Yeah.
Like nothing's out of place. It doesn't. I'm not jumping when I'm supposed to be jumping. When I'm not supposed to be jumping. I'm not running when I'm not supposed to be running. I'm not like, cause you know what people do. They'll run and try to jump off the wall, and you'll just be kicking the wall, and it just
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but I felt this is what I wanted though. I wanted every animation that a human can do to be on every game, even
Right.
if it doesn't call for it. So prone, you go prone. Uh, they usually relegate proning to military shooters.
Right.
But
Anybody can do it.
if I'm in a situation that calls for it, I should be able to go prone.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't go like a lot of people go prone and not in the traditional sense, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go prone. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be tactical about it. No,
Right.
so in real life, somebody
You
might be
should.
shooting so they
Right.
get dropped and hit the floor.
Exactly.
They got a gun
Exactly.
in their hand, so they prone. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
Animation I always wanted in a game too. You
mhm,
know when somebody just shooting at you, you getting like heavy gunfire, and
right.
you get behind an object,
Mhm,
but your back is to the object, but you're like sitting on the ground, and your
Oh,
back is on toward the object, right? And you're frantic. You're like, dang, all this gunfire going off. So you kind of you in that position,
mhm.
but at the same time, you might be aggressive, and you getting ready to defend yourself.
Right.
So I'm picturing and just try to follow me, people.
Mhm.
I'm picturing a animation or a situation where they shooting, shooting, shooting. You sitting on the floor with your back to the object, whatever it is, right?
Mhm.
And you got your gun out, but your gun just ran out of bullets. So you frantically trying to put the clip in while your back is to them and they're shooting at you. Almost kind of like you remember Training Day? Do you seen Training Day?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You remember the scene when he goes and he tries to bust him? This is right after he got out of the tub
Oh
and he
yeah,
goes back to the house.
yeah.
Remember when he pulled out the shotgun and he ran behind the thing and he
Mhm.
told I guess he told the boy to be quiet, whatever.
Yeah,
And he just blasted him, blah 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 blah, and he
yeah.
just like, yo, the fire is too heavy, I can't stick my head out, whatever. So he's just literally behind the thing
Mhm.
with his back against the thing, and he's kind of getting himself ready in position to do his next thing,
Right.
whatever, is putting a clip in or whatever. Um, so I want to see that in gaming. I feel like those would be appropriate in stuff like Uncharted or even zombies. You hear a
Mhm.
bunch of zombies coming to the room, you might not even want to shoot at them. You just might want to hide.
Yeah.
You just get on the ground with your back toward the object and you just try to be as quiet as possible.
Yeah.
These are the things that I feel
I think
will.
some games is leaning towards that. I know Alan Wake had that mechanic. It was more geared towards you running away from the zombies rather than
Right,
fighting them.
right.
Um, and that new Alien Isolation, that's really heavy on that. It's basically this cat and mouse hide and seek type vibe. Like you, but that's the thing though. Everything doesn't go your way. Like you, you may think you can do something. Oh, I'm just gonna run over here and I'm gonna be safe and I'm gonna be fine. But it may not work out that way. But yeah, you can. You have stuff times like that where you can just hide behind cover and you just just chill and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I think that's a good thing. And I think it should be based off of the character as well. You know, yeah, a person, a defenseless person that's not really gung ho, um, action oriented. Nathan Drake or whoever. What's his name? Solid Snake. They are going to take cover differently from a professional. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
They're
right,
gonna take. They're gonna hide. Where they're gonna lean against the wall. They might sit down instead of like crouching down,
right.
looking to turn and then shoot. They might be sitting down with their hands over their ears or whatever, depending on who it is, man. Or they
Yeah,
might just be shaking with the gun. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
and
that'd be sick if you pull out your gun and you nervous
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and you can't get a direct shot.
yeah,
That'll
yeah.
be hot.
And maybe that section would be the point of that is to not shoot, to just run.
Right, right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
But yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of things that can be adventured into and pretty much experimented with and just explored. You know what I'm saying? Like they need to explore different things.
Let's talk about AI for a second. What's the expectations there? How should AI
I
be?
think I think I think AI is terrible now.
Yeah,
And I think individual AI needs to have minds of their own. So what they can do is they can have a long list of different packs, AI packages, right? So what it means is that one person might be the scared type. So if it's a security guard, like you're infiltrating the place and you're trying to sneak past people, if a security guard, if he heard something, this one might act like he didn't hear nothing. But this one might act like if he's still a scary type, he might call for backup to try to investigate it. Or there might be one that's not. scary, and he's really, on it like that. So he tries to come to you alone to try to solve the problem, and he end up making it easier for you, honestly. Um, like just different reactions in different situations. Like you feel like each guard has a mind of their own. That's the main thing, and it's not only with guards; it's with animals too. Like not every bear is gonna attack you on sight, or not every lion. Well, probably lions. Yeah, they probably gonna kill you on sight. But whatever. Like if it's depending on the animal it is. Sometimes they don't always try to kill you on sight. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it might just be going around in circles or whatever, and it may have just eaten something, and it might be full, and it might not need to eat no more. So it's probably just laying down sleeping unless you really try to get close to it or whatever. So like I say, just thinking outside of the box when it comes to AI and just bringing a lot of like just interesting random experiences to the game. You know what I'm saying? That can really bring AI out. Of course, you got to make them smarter as far as like what to do in certain situations, how they're gonna do it. But like I said, I think I'm actually more of a firm believer, and I think it's more realistic to have it personality based rather than we're just making them all smarter. You know what I'm saying? You there? I'm gonna start the recording right quick, cause
Oh, my bad.
yeah.
I had it on mute.
All
I
right,
don't
go
even know
ahead.
how that happened. Um, yeah, that's the what you just said is the genius of AI. It's not that everybody is smart
Hmm.
and does everything perfect. It's that you can see the subtle imperfections in each character. It basically is like playing a bunch of real people.
Yeah.
I think that should actually be the standard. And funny enough, it seems like developers are trying to move in that direction, even though I feel like it's too far. Like they're literally trying to make the whole game online,
Hmm.
and there should always be an offline aspect, a single player aspect where you don't need to rely on anything to make this work. You could
Yeah.
just play it as is. That's the danger in that. But I do like I want the step for AI to be that you can't tell the difference if it's a human controlling it uh, uh um or the AI.
And also being able to use all of the abilities that you have. Like let's say you have an ability, the AI has the same ability.
Mm-hmm. And vice
They
versa.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes they
yeah.
doing stuff you can't do.
Yeah, yeah. Like and some stuff you probably can't do because it makes sense because your character is not like really
A super soldier or
yeah,
nothing.
super soldier
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you got me, clearing out a room of 50 dudes, constantly or whatever, I mean, I got to be able to perform a night kill or whatever, do whatever
Mm-hmm.
that the AI is doing. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times the AI will be doing some cool stuff you can't do because it's scripted, and
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. You might have some special powers, that the AI doesn't have or the AI might have, but it's in specific, very scripted scenarios. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
One of my
um,
pet peeves too was when if a AI has or NPC has a gun that has certain mods on it. Maybe they have a beam on it. Maybe they got a scope on it.
right,
They shooting it, and your game is geared where, as it should be, I could punch the guy, take his gun, or after I dispose of him, the gun is still laying on the ground. I could pick it up, right?
right,
That gun should still have everything that it came with. It
yeah,
shouldn't be gimped on purpose
yeah.
for for no reason.
And how
Like I
about
said,
like
everything needs to make sense.
stuff like shooting duds or like you like let's say you was
Your
in the
gun
water or
jam.
something like that, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
basically a gun jam. You was underwater, you come out, you try to do it, but you start clicking, click, click, click. You know what I'm saying? It just catch you off guard. I think they need to add stuff like that. It's a lot of like simple things,
Mhm.
in life that happens
Mhm.
that needs to be in games because what's simple in real life is huge for games.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah, imagine you got the drop on somebody and you shoot and it just clicks.
yeah,
That adds the whole nother element to it. And also if you know that that
or
can
or, or,
happen,
or
you
or
would prepare.
how about you got the drop on them, but they know you there. Like they turn around and they look at you. Like
Yeah.
let's say it might not even be the person. It could be a person, but it could be a monster or something, or a beast or something. And then you try to take it out, and then it turns around and it tries to approach you slowly, but your gun clicks and then it starts to come after you or whatever. So now all of a sudden you thought you had the drop on it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it switched on you.
Mhm.
So and it's real random like that.
Yeah.
So like I say, mechanics, a whole new gameplay mechanic, just from that.
All right, cool. So we hit graphics, we hit story, we hit gameplay. Let's talk about sound. What is your expectations for sound?
Well, sound is going to be easy because it's not. I think we almost at a point where sound is just as
Sound.
good as getting. No, no, not that. No, no, no. Cause sound, no, sound is something I actually take very serious, and I think really needs to be. It's probably one of the most important things for me personally, because I'm an audiophile. But really, what it comes down to is that I think sound in a lot of games now is really starting to be. I don't know. I feel like they're like really good. Like they're starting to be like a almost like a priority for studios to have like really good sound because like with each of the new games, like it's crazy how much the sound brings you into the world. Like let's say Assassin's Creed, for instance, like with the ocean wind, ocean breeze, and you know the waves hitting against the side of the boat, and you hear the dude singing, and you know as the storm rolls in, you hear the lightning in the distance, like little cues and stuff like that. Or if you're in the jungle, you hear all types of animals and what's good about sound is that usually in the older games you'll just hear a random audio file, right? And the audio file will have like let's say if it's random wildlife in the background, and it will just keep playing the same thing, the random wildlife, right? And you won't notice it. It'll sound good. It'll sound natural to you in game. But you might hear a bird but never see a bird.
Mhm.
You might hear a bear but they may never see a bear. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you gonna see the
So
bear?
right. Yeah, but you know, it's some things that you might hear, or you might hear a wolf howl. That's the classic thing, a wolf howl, but no wolves in the entire game. But my point is that one of the games that's actually going to start to incorporate that. The thing I'm about to say is Witcher 3, which is you literally got to listen out for sounds because different monsters, because that game is based off of Monster Hunter. Like I'm talking about like old folklore type vampires, werewolves, and all different types of just crazy monstrosities. But really, what it comes down to is that he actually has a he actually even has a bestiary that tells you about the animal and what kind of sounds it makes. So you kind of got to do some detective work, and you gotta like once you do your detective work, you gotta pay attention to your surroundings because, like I said, certain things make certain sounds. But in this game, it literally means that that thing is in an area.
Mhm.
It's around you somewhere. You don't know where it is, but it's around you somewhere, and it can easily just come and catch you off guard. So you really gotta be on your toes. And I can tell you right now, I started playing The Witcher 2 like 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And the only reason why I got off is not because I didn't like the game or anything, because I was trying to do the whole Star Wars thing. But I'm gonna tell you right now, Witcher 2 has that immersion. Like when actually more so than even Skyrim. Modded. It's
Mhm.
crazy, dog. Like
Mhm.
you in the woods They sound design is crazy. It's crazy. The sounds that the monsters make, it's crazy, dog. When you got the headphones on, you like, wow, they really instill that fear in you. Like, wow, where's this coming from? And you looking around in all directions. You looking around in circles. But that's the beauty of it because it keeps you in that one. It's already gonna be a huge game, but it keeps you in that one little single area, that little small little area for longer than you probably would have in any other game because you would have just kept running, right? You would have kept running, going to your mission, doing what you got to do. But now you want to kind of like, be cautious of your surroundings. Hold
Mm.
on 1 second. Yo, all right, I'm back. So you could go. I'm pretty much done. What I was saying about sound. Like I just really feel like it just needs to be really like immersive. Like it needs to have the things that really brings everything to life. You really need to have like background. You need to have um purpose. But when it comes to sound, is a multitude of things. It could be because there's so many different types of games. But whatever the game is, it just needs to be realistic about it in the sense where if it's just a shooter, you need to hear people having conversations like like let's say if guards are looking at they're chasing you and they're trying to find you or whatever, they need to be able to um like look talk back and forth to try to say, oh, I think he's over here. I think he's over there. Yeah, they do that in games now, but I think they should really really get better at it. You know what I'm saying? Like with stuff like that. But like I said, I already said that on record that games are pretty good where it's at now. So all they need to do is just keep doing what they're doing, but just make it better and more fleshed out.
So as far as sound with me, um, I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't. The only thing I could really think about um is basically whatever that you are putting in your game for it to have one to oneness with real life sound. Um, whatever that means. So if the gun, if you got an AK, actually make it sound like a actual AK. Like I can't tell the difference between a real AK and a game AK. I would love to see that. And it was something you mentioned. Oh, yes, for the sound to be so sophisticated that it you don't need cues, physical cues to tell you where something is or what area is in. For it to be that deep and that detailed that if it's coming from the left side of the room, I can hear it without them saying it's coming from the left side of the room or whatever, or these little cues. Um, just knowing where things are just based on sound. Of course, in a realistic way. Sometimes you hear sound, you don't know exactly where it's coming from. But well, if there's multiple sounds going on, it's hard to distinguish one from the other sometimes. But in a case where it's clear cut, you might be in a house and somebody come through the window, you know what side of the house it came from or whatever. Stuff like that. I would love to see stuff like that. But sound, like you said, I think it's not too far they have to go with that. Unless I think of some other things down the line. But, so uh I think that's it. I think we covered all of the categories that would entail what would be gaming. So that said, you got anything to add before we rock out?
No, I think we pretty much covered everything we needed to cover.
All right. Wait, hold on.
What?
Oh, I wanted to say something real quick too about DLC. DLC. I think DLC should be have a new name, and it's called The Game. Make the freaking game. Give us the total experience and stop cutting off content on purpose to make an extra buck. Go old school. Do your game to the best of your knowledge. Don't rely on patches and updates and DLC to tell you stories that were already there or um, you didn't want to put in there on purpose. I respect real DLC if you want to add to the experience, but not that nickel and dime DLC or DLC that we actually not getting the whole game the way you would have gave it to us if this new trend didn't start. So that's my expectations for next gen too. That DLC will be uh, kept to a thing where is respected and it's few and far in between because developers are giving us full experiences anyway. And if they want to continue it, it'll be done, like I said, in a respectful manner and not, oh, the game is 10 hours. We got the full game in front of us. Let's cut 2 hours of the game on purpose and then sell it back to them in a later date. That's not the DLC I'm expecting for next gen. So with that said, you know the routine. All gamers around the world stand up on the count of three. 1, 2, 3. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. The
The
console
console
control
controls us.
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 Us.